escape into the dark.
Why? Why?
So those two words have sent the fandom into a tailspin, as everyone is analysing what Quinn meant when he asked the question, what Carrie meant when she answered, or rather didn't answer. More about that later, although there's no way I'm going to go into as much detail as some of the other discussion fora have. I just don't think I could. Episode 2 of Season 6 was called The Man in the Basement. It is not a particularly metaphorical title. The man in the basement is, of course, Peter Quinn, who is now recovering there instead of in hospital. Possibly a really bad idea from a health perspective, but a very good idea from a storyline perspective. I enjoyed episode 1, but I thought episode 2 was very good in terms of progressing the storyline and this season's characterisation of the various players. I thought it was interesting that a lot of the people who had expressed disenchantment, claimed that they felt very blah and numb about the first episode, are reinvigorated and returning to the fold with episode 2. So that's always a good sign. First of all, I thought that it was quite clever to have the discussion of Iran's sneaky parallel nuclear program, first mentioned in the episode by Dara Dahl, and then recounted to Carrie by the President-elect's Chief of Staff, Rob Hemis.
It's a parallel program.
They claim they have evidence of a parallel program.
So clearly, this is also paralleled by Carrie Matheson's own parallel program. By day, she's a virtuous pro bono lawyer fighting for the oppressed. By night, she's a secret advisor to the President-elect, undermining or perhaps shaping the foreign policy that is being developed by Dara Dahl and Saul Berenson.
I was thinking how long it had been since I heard your voice, and then I heard it. At least I thought I did. When I briefed the President-elect on our covert action program, she asked me specifically about drone strikes that don't require a sign-off by the President.
In keeping with prior seasons, by episode 2, the threads of Carrie's life are beginning to unravel fast. She doesn't know it, but Dara Dahl is onto the Carrie Matheson parallel program. Even worse, it's getting a bit rocky with her law firm partner, Rita Hashem, who seemed so amiable and friendly in the first episode, but is now starting to discover the reality of being in business with Carrie Matheson.
I wish he hadn't said that.
Said what?
How unfair everything is, like it's a mistake we can fix.
Wait, you're saying I caused that back there?
I thought Carrie's response there was quite interesting. It was a parallel. Her very defensive response echoes her conversation with Nurse Batitude in episode 1, where she demanded, "What, so now it's my fault?" To be honest, as soon as Rita told Carrie that Saad was off limits by court direction, I knew what was coming.
We try anything else and we're in contempt of court.
This particular exchange made me giggle a little bit.
Well, you know how it could actually help? I could question Saad directly, because that kind of thing, getting answers from people who'd rather not say, that's something I'm good at.
He's off limits. You understand that, right? Carrie?
Damn it, I gotta go.
We have a court order. Tell me you heard me.
Yeah, I heard you.
All I could think when I saw that was poor, innocent, naive Rita. Contempt of court and possible imprisonment are nothing to Carrie Matheson. As Dan pointed out, clearly Rita had not watched prior seasons of Homeland. Had he watched them, he would have known that there was no way that Carrie was not going to go ahead and compromise the mission. I can't go through them all, but here are some from season 3.
Carrie, go back to the van. There's no time. Turn around. Carrie, turn around now. Or we will stop you. This is your last warning.
Listen to the man, Carrie.
Carrie, this is Quinn. Break away.
I'm sorry, I can't.
You're fucking us, Carrie. Months of work, your work.
I don't care.
Carrie, I will take the shot.
And here we have season 2.
You have got this contained. Stay the fuck back.
That is a direct order, acknowledge.
Carrie, what are you doing? Don't do this.
Carrie, acknowledge. Carrie, stay put.
They're gonna kill him.
That's an order, goddammit. Tell me you hear me. Carrie.
To be honest, Rita just had to watch the YouTube supercut from season 3 to know about Carrie, but hey. Now I'm going to move on to the topic of Quinn. I have a lot of thoughts about Quinn in this episode. I've seen that there are a lot of people on the internet saying that they wish that Quinn had died and that his current storyline is boring. Reddit has a good cross-section of opinions about the Quinn storyline. For instance, Redditor the Banana Thug said, "Am I the only one getting really sick of Quinn's storyline? Let's focus on Dirodal and the incoming president." There are other comments along similar lines that say things like, "Why couldn't they have just let Quinn die? Same thing from the first season with Brody. It's ruining the show for me. Quinn's a great character. Making him disabled is really killing it for me." In response, Redditors like the Dwed Piwat Wabus said, "I think that's kind of the point they're trying to make. In America, it's common practice to just slap the word hero on every vet and then proceed to ignore them if they aren't 100% okay. This is reality. This is the shit that really happens to a lot of vets. Quinn is a character we've known for years now, and as soon as he stops being the badass ninja soldier and starts dealing with the fallout of living that life, people want to ignore him and focus on the other stuff instead." Redditor Ivaro Kozbich says, "People trying to ditch Quinn for dead is reminiscent of how people act with US veterans in the US. Pretend like there isn't a problem and like everything is over. It isn't. It won't be for decades." Similarly, I do understand the people that are saying they watched Homeland because they wanted to see kick-ass spies and intrigue, and that they're not that enamoured of a storyline that talks about a disabled veteran. But I would like to think that TV medicine is going to work its magic on Quinn, and even if he doesn't make a full recovery, there will be a recovery of sorts. And so there is a light at the end of this particular tunnel. And I personally think it is interesting to explore this aspect of Quinn's life. It has been building to a point that the life that he was leading, the things that he was doing, the things that were happening to him had to have an effect, an impact. He couldn't keep doing that forever. And so now we are seeing the consequences of the life that he has led. Like many other viewers, I am also very delighted that the character of Max is back. An older, wiser, grizzled and careworn Max. To be honest, I'm not sure why he's in New York and why he has a job that allows him to babysit Quinn during the day, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Max is awesome. Redditor Pure Perfection had an interesting insight into how and why Max was helping. She or he said, "I think Max is doing this for Quinn, not Carrie. Remember, after the embassy attack in season 4, Max took Quinn's side and was in on his plan to hunt down Haqqani. From Max's perspective, Quinn was the only person who took Farah's death as seriously as he did and was willing to risk his life to avenge her. He has no reason to help Carrie, but a very good reason to help Quinn. I think this showed at the end of the episode when he basically told Carrie that she was hindering Quinn's recovery because of his strange thing about her. He's willing to come back whenever she needs him because he thinks Quinn's better off having someone other than Carrie babysitting him." The bonus with having Max return is that he has always been quite insightful. So we are able to receive insights into Quinn that we cannot when we look at Quinn through Carrie's eyes. Because by contrast, Carrie has always been emotionally clueless and borderline blind when it comes to Quinn. She just doesn't see or understand him emotionally. Work-wise, they slot in seamlessly. They're like kindred spirits. They work well together. They're an awesome team. but she's never really understood his softer side or realised consciously how much he loves her. Subconsciously, she's known for a long time that he loves her, and I think that she has used that and manipulated him. But it was only after the letter in season 5 that she knew for a fact that he did love her. So having Max around gives us a more reliable narrator and point of view perspective in relation to the Quinn character. Regretfully, it's clear that in this episode, Quinn is still smelly.
Something down here doesn't smell very good. I think it might be you.
I think it might be you.
Why not take a shower?
Just get dirty again.
BWG71 asked me whether I thought that Max might have been around there before. I don't think so. I think he's, as I've said, just more insightful about Quinn than Carrie is, which is why he asked this question.
After he threw the glass at you.
It was a coffee mug.
He say why I did that?
No.
You ask?
I'm telling myself it's the drugs talking.
In this episode, apart from learning that Quinn is still smelly, we know that he still has his wits about him. Later on in the episode, when Max is following him, Quinn is fully aware of this fact. He also makes a request in relation to his food, which is designed to ensure that he cannot be medicated. It's possible that this is a sign of his paranoia, but it's also clear that he's still sharp and knows what's going on.
I need food.
Okay.
In cans.
Then they kind of have Max state what I consider to be the bloody obvious.
He's not happy, Carrie.
I know.
No, I mean, he's really not. And he's got this strange thing about you, which is not helping.
It's a little bit of an anvilicious comment by Max. We know Quinn's got a thing for Carrie. He's pretty much always had one for Carrie. But now twice this season, in only 2 episodes, we've got both Max and Nurse Batitude saying that there's something about Carrie that's impairing Quinn's recovery. If you recall, season 4 had something similar, where we had the CIA psychologist, Dara Dahl, and Eden, Quinn's landlady, all commenting to Quinn that he clearly had a thing about Carrie, which is something we all knew anyway. So I thought it was a little bit odd that they had Max making that comment. It was quite heartbreaking though when she did Carrie cry face and said that she was trying, because she really is. I have read some comments that were criticising her, saying that she's still being a brat, but to be honest, I've quite liked what I've seen of Carrie this season. It's a new, more mature, responsible and caring Carrie. Carrie caring at a personal level. We've always known that she cared because she was willing to sacrifice her life for the greater good. But that's sort of more for political concepts and abstract theories. But in this season, we really see her caring about individuals. And perhaps some might say that's a more selfish form of caring, but I think that it allows us to explore the more personal and compassionate side of her personality, and I like that. The episode has Quinn listening to the radio to someone who sounds fairly extreme in his views, possibly a conspiracy theorist. I had to Google. Apparently it's based on a real-life American radio host named Alex Jones, who's a conspiracy theorist and quite controversial. Some of the more conservative publications online have considered this episode to be a smear against Alex Jones. I don't know the man myself, so I wouldn't know. But I do know there has been some concern in the fandom that Quinn listening to this sort of media means that we might be heading towards a radicalisation of Quinn's storyline. I don't think so. I have a feeling that the conspiracy theory side of things is going to play into his paranoia and unbalanced mind storyline. There were already people last season who were quite worried that when he fell in with the jihadist cell that he might get radicalised. But it would be strange if they went down that particular plot line, because that is essentially what they did with Nicholas Brody. So it would seem a bit redundant to do it again.
Because if you feel it, this calling to be an independent American, the time to rise up is now. Now!
So now I'm getting to the part about the Carrie Quinn potential shippy moments. Unfortunately, unlike a lot of other people, I didn't really see this episode as being shippy. I thought it was very encouraging from a Carrie Quinn dynamic and relationship perspective. But to me, there wasn't any romantic undertone. There were no shippy vibes for me. But I was encouraged by the fact that Quinn still really cares what Carrie thinks.
What does she say?
That you're being kind of an asshole.
Clearly, a big reason why he's behaving so badly right now is that he feels helpless and useless, and he does not like Carrie seeing him this way, and he feels like a mere shadow of his former person. But he still cares about her, and I got maybe a tiny shippy vibe when he asked her how her day was.
How was your day?
Well, it started with someone throwing a coffee mug at me. Went downhill from there.
He's been speaking so differently this season that for me it was kind of nice to have a hint of old Quinn back in his voice. You know, that sort of low, husky voice that he uses with Carrie, you know, how was your day? And I was like, he's back. But then he wasn't really, because then he went back to the sort of slower, almost childlike speech patterns. Then, of course, we get to the part in the episode where the writers or the actors are basically reaching their hand into my chest and ripping my heart out.
What happened to me? But you saved me.
Yes.
Why?
So there has been so much discussion about that particular exchange, and it was really gut-wrenching. I didn't realise that Quinn hadn't seen the video until that moment, and I suppose there was something rather beautiful about the fact that the first time he watched it, he had Carrie beside him, presumably for comfort. I couldn't really see anything shippy there. I felt like her response to him when she was saying, why, wasn't, oh, because I love you, or because I can't, like, it was more like, you know, how could you ask me? It's not a romantic love at that particular point, not yet. And I can't read that into there. He has a very watchful way of looking at her at that point, and I'm not sure whether or not it's sort of deliberate and he's processing her reaction, or if he's a little bit empty and blank and a little bit confused. I couldn't tell whether or not he was actually trying to elicit that kind of sorrow from her, or whether it was purely accidental that he did it. In any case, it was a very moving and powerful scene, and I thought they both did an amazing job. A few miscellaneous final comments to wrap up. I thought that it was quite cute to have Carrie giving Franny advice that she herself doesn't really follow.
It's not nice to snoop.
I really loved the way that Carrie not only remembered that Quinn had met Franny before, she also remembered that, you know, he had bounced her on his knee and Franny had been smiling. That was one of my favourite moments in the series. In fact, that particular episode was a shipper's paradise, what with Quinn showing up at the funeral, the hug, the smiles, getting along with Franny, and then of course the big giant pash. I mean, it was like fanfic come to life. I don't know how many times I've watched that episode.
But who's down there?
I told you, Peter Quinn. He's been in the hospital and now he's with us for a while.
When do I meet him?
You know what? You already have. When you were a baby at Aunt Maggie's, he bounced you on his knee, and you know what you did? You got a smile on your face.
Finally, while I feel extremely vindicated by my original suspicion that the character of Sard was dodgy as all hell, I found his way of saying baby incredibly annoying.
Yeah, baby, just how is it? Baby, what's wrong?
It was kind of hard to take him seriously when he sounded so exaggerated.
Hey, baby, what's wrong? Oh, baby, what are you doing?
Really, really bad. Really took me out of the moment. The character is otherwise quite interesting and the actor isn't terrible. It's just his way of saying baby is quite ghastly. So in conclusion, I thought that was a really good episode and I'm looking forward to seeing the next one. I am apprehensive because I have seen a few spoilers here and there, but I have mostly been avoiding them, so let's hope there was a lot of misdirection out there. Thanks again to everyone who's listening, and thanks to the people who have been commenting on the blog. I'll see you all later. And happy Australia Day to all my fellow Aussies.